this contest set for one fall is for the WWE Championship.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Welcome to Around the Turnbuckle. I'm the Big Alboski. My partner in crime has not arrived. His name is the Professor, Professor Keith. He will be with us momentarily, but my guest is here, and his name is the OutKast, Damon Dante. What's up, man?
How's it going, dude?
Oh, I'm excellent, sir. I'm excellent, because I don't know if you noticed. You don't know me very well, bud, but I'm a huge Eagles fan, and they kicked some ass today. So I'm in a very good mood. It's sad that a grown man's mood depends on whether or not a sports team wins their game. It's pretty sad.
Well, I mean, my favorite team's the Steelers, so maybe that's why I've been.
They won. They won today.
I know, but this season, ugh.
Well, it's a rough season. It's a rebuilding season, and
yeah,
But the Steelers did get a win today, so there you go. Here, Keith's with us. Here we go. Professor, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. The thing came late or something. My phone being stupid. I don't know.
So there he is, Damon, the Professor Damon.
How's it going?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm hanging in.
All right, gentlemen. So, Damon, take us to the beginning, man, because, you're a young kid. You are just kind of, you're relatively new to the business. You haven't been doing it for 10, 15, 20 years like some of these other guys. So, take us to the beginning. Like, what made you fall in love with wrestling? What made you decide, you know what, I want to go do this? And where did you seek training? Tell us that story of you.
Well, it pretty much, I guess you could say it all began 2 years old, really. Like, my biological father, may he rest in peace, he was a huge boxing fan, huge professional wrestling fan. And when he had a boy, he's like, I gotta get my boy into that. Gotta do it. And I'm pretty sure I was around 2 or 3 years old when I went to my first live show. Ever since that day, I was hooked in. And pretty much 5 years old came around. I'm like, I want to do this. I want to be who I see on there. And I'm on the trampoline. I'm replicating all my favorite wrestlers with my little brother. And probably around middle school to high school is when I started really like looking for opportunities. And, silly me, I'm wrestling around in my trampolines and mattresses and doing all this stupid stuff. And it was about 18 years old, and I had a really bad night. Was fixing a hole in the wall with my stepdad, and we're just kind of talking about life and what do I want to do with life. And he's the one that said, you've been into this wrestling stuff literally as long as I've known you. If that's the only thing that you've had that's stuck around as long as it has, you need to go for it. And pretty much from there, I first met Samu in Hawaii, and we got to talking there, and one thing led to another, and sure enough, I had found Backbreakers and got in contact with Glory, Justin Glory. I brought down two of my friends, my friend and my cousin, and I guess that's where the story starts as far as training.
So you started training with Backbreakers, but you did mention Samu. Wasn't there a conversation about possibly training with him?
There was. Pretty much, I have always kind of been like struggling with money and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I messaged him like through Facebook, and I was like asking for prices, getting, you know, what would be the easier route for me financially to pursue this dream. And he was going to give me a really good deal. He really was. But ultimately, like, I don't want to say, like, because I hate the word cheaper. The cheaper, it's not cheaper because it's really good stuff. But
Right.
with my friends coming with me, it kind of made me feel like, because they wanted to go to Backbreakers. My one friend Zach, he has been growing up like going to their live shows, watching them and stuff. He wanted to go there, and my cousin was all on board for that. And I really didn't want to just dip on them, kind of find a different place and tell them good luck.
Right.
I wanted to do this with them, and so we all decided Backbreakers is the one we're gonna go to. So I told Samu that, and I was like, if there's ever a chance where I can go and join you guys, I'll be happy to do it. But this is the route I want to take in my life, and here we are.
Yeah, and we've had a few fellow Backbreakers students. We've had Donnie Bambino, we've had the Dude, we've had Shelby Waters, we've had Nathaniel Cunningham. You guys all seem to have a bit of a brotherhood going on here. If you don't mind me saying that, is that accurate?
Yeah, it's very accurate, actually.
I got a comment here from Big Dave. Dave, what's up, Dave? Hello, my friends. Another exciting night around the turnbuckle. Now let's forge some fire with Damon. Absolutely.
Yeah, it goes back to the one picture I posted on Facebook. He left a comment saying it was super cool, and it was that like a flaming background in it. I commented, "Forged in fire."
Let me tell you, David Motorman is a huge fan of Northeastern Pennsylvania wrestling. He mostly follows SWO, but he keeps tabs on all the other ones too. He keeps tabs on 3WA and several other ones. And he's become a fast friend of the professor and I, as far as not only supporting us and pretty much tuning in to every time we're on, but he also has given us a few guests over the months that we've known him. Namely, like Prince Piranha. He gave us Tommy Vex, who's on next Sunday, which was one that Keith and I have been wanting for a long time. So, but as far as you're concerned, you were on our radar when we first talked to the Dude, when we first talked to Donnie Bambino. They really talked about you and how excited they are for you and what you're becoming. So talk about training with those guys. Talk about Jack Molson and talk about Justin and those guys. Talk about Backbreakers in general. What's a training session like with those guys?
Well, the first thing I want to say is when I started training, like, it was really rough for me. Like I said, I came in with the two others. Fortunately, due to outside circumstances, it just came down to me, and my head was just all over the place. Lost a job, COVID hit, all this stuff, and I was just a mess. And it was basically like, of course, outside with my family and all that, we're supportive, but coming back, having all these guys, like you said, Donnie Bambino, the Dude, Molson, they all pushed me to keep going. And that's where the respect came from. So training with these guys, it's literally like training with family. And we get in that ring, we crack jokes, we have a lot of fun, but we also push each other. When we can see one another is struggling, we're the first ones to reach our hands out, help them up, keep it going.
Yeah, and you seem to have a chemistry in the ring too, especially one-on-one. But that one tag match where it was you and Donnie Bambino, you kind of didn't see eye to eye in that match. We asked him about that match, and he gave his side of that story. How about you take us through that match? How did you feel about how it went?
Well, we obviously did not get the result we wanted, but
right.
We got to experience a great tag team with Nice and Smooth. That was really fun to actually get to tussle around with those guys in the ring a little bit. But we have such different styles and such different mentalities of what we want to do in the ring. And while he wants to do a lot of the choking in the corner and all this stuff, I just want to win
Questionable
fairly.
tactics. The professor would call that questionable tactics,
To say the least.
to say the least.
Well, I call it cheating. Let's just
Right.
call a spade a spade.
Yeah, I try to be somewhat down the middle, you know, with if you've heard Al on Carnage, you know, he's pretty much in the pocket of anybody who'll choke or gouge or anything like that. He
I root
thinks
for
it's all
heels,
fine
Damon.
if the referee doesn't see it.
Well, he is good at making sure that the ref doesn't see it, especially when he turns his back to him and he's got him. He's really good at that. But
Yeah.
that's just where him and I just don't see eye to eye, because I want to get out there, I want to entertain the fans, I want to get some wins and really just experience what this dream really feels like and not take any shortcuts like that. You know what I mean? So
And you respect your opponents where he clearly does not. That was one of the other problems in the matches. You were trying to be, you know, respectful handshakes. Hey, we're in here, we're competing, let's have a good, clean contest. And for Donnie, man, that just does not seem to be anywhere near his wheelhouse or his mentality whatsoever.
yeah, and you saw the results. I mean,
Yep.
Absolutely, man. And so, talk about the evolution of this character. Talk about the evolution of Damon Dante. Where does it draw influence from? Where did you come up with it? I know it's a part of you somewhere in there because obviously, you know it. You know, Stone Cold and The Rock. They've said this a million times that the best characters are you, but with the volume turned way up. So somewhere in there is Damon Dante. So talk about the evolution of him.
well, that character is essentially, like you said, it's me. It's 100% me. I always grew up like drawing, doing a lot of art and all that stuff, and I had to incorporate that with myself, and that's why I do the face paints and the looks and all that stuff, because it brings my art with me. It gives me a certain sense of confidence that I guess I wouldn't really have if I just went out like this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and as far as the outcast portion of it, that's literally just who I am. It's who I've always been. In school, I was always the kid that eat lunch like outside of the cafeteria, right on the side, where everyone else has got their cliques and whatnot. I didn't really have much friends really growing up. That's kind of why I stuck with the band of brothers that I always have, because my circles have always been small. And so like you said, with Austin the Rock, the best characters are who you are. I don't want to go out there and pretend to be something I'm not. I want to go out there, be authentic, be real, because people can see that. They see right through you if you're being fake.
Absolutely. If it's not you, the people are going to smell it and you're screwed. And they'll smell it before you even lock up, before you even do move one. If
Yep,
you're not who you need to be, and it's not going to work.
that's true.
So Damon Dante, the wrestler, though, he's very quick. He's agile, deceptively strong, because you're not the biggest guy, but you can do a lot of things that when you seem to have captured the 3WA audience, because they kind of, and that's who we've seen you again, you know, in front of, and they you know, they didn't know what to make you at first, but then they saw you wrestle. So are you constantly like trying to evolve your move set? Are you constantly studying and all that kind of stuff? Like, talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely. If there's a way to push myself beyond any limit, I'm gonna keep doing that. Like we were just training tonight. I'm already trying to do some more stuff off the ropes, take some more daredevil risk, and because that's another thing is I'm a huge like thrill seeker. I love the adrenaline rush. I love the risks. I love all that. And as much like athleticism as I have, it's kind of more so like, what can I do next that's going to bring me this much better than the last match?
Right.
So when I started out, I think, yeah, it was a 7-man elimination.
Yes.
So it was a bit hard to work with that. There's so many bodies. There's so little room when you have 7 guys sharing a ring.
Right.
And And not only to enhance your point, it's not just 7 guys in there. Almost all of you were debuting. It was your first time in 3WA. So now you've also got the everybody wants to make an impression. Everybody wants to get their stuff in and look good. And now you've got to work with that because obviously you want to look good, but you don't want to look good at anybody else's expense because these are still your partners. These are people you're sharing a locker room with. I was just going to ask about that. That must have been a really nerve-wracking, intense experience to try to keep all that in your mind and navigate through it.
Yeah, no, especially for it being my second match of my career too. It was
Oh,
definitely
wow.
a challenge. Yeah.
You backbreakers guys really do surprise me with that because you look a lot more polished. And I figure like, oh, they must have been doing it for like 6 months, a year, something like that at least. And the dude did it too, where he was like, no, it's like the 3rd or 4th match I've ever had in my career. And I'm like, it doesn't look like it though. You guys look like you're further along in your development than that.
Well, that's solely down to the training. I mean, they they took a lump of coal and they turned it into a diamond. And I'm not saying like I'm a diamond, but what I'm saying is like they weren't gonna let us go out there if we weren't ready. They made sure that we were ready, and every step of the way, every time we have a match, they'll be the first ones to tell us what we could have done better, what we could do different. And next match that we have, we like to incorporate everything that they taught us. From Molson to Glory, I worked a little bit with Kit Raff. He was training with me a little bit.
Is there? So I mean, it's safe to say now. So you started with these guys. It's only been a couple of for you. It's only been a couple of years that you've been in the business. Then.
Well, training wise, yeah, but my debut was in August for Backbreakers, and that was my first match. And then straight from there, it was getting out
3WA.
there. Yep.
Okay, so yeah, we're talking, what? Not even 6 months in, really.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's great because Keith and I love to talk to people who are, just getting into the business because we sometimes have veterans tune in that give you advice. Right now, I haven't seen the Greg Thundercat or anybody like that who usually comes on here and gives. These are some guys that have been wrestling for 15, 17, 20 years, and they love to give young guys advice. So if he tunes in between now and 7, hopefully he pops on here and hopefully he gives you some of that free advice that he likes to give. Keith and I, the only advice that we can give, and I'll let Keith give you whatever advice he wants to give you. The only advice I can give you is that learn as much as you possibly can from all the guys you work with. And as you start to branch out, you'll get to meet different guys, and there'll be some guys that'll talk to you. Obviously, some guys won't, but the guys that will talk to you, pick as many brains as possible and study. Like, watch, because you're a young dude. So, like, study stuff from back before you were born. Study some matches from back in the 80s and the 90s. Do you find yourself doing that now already?
A little bit, yeah, actually. I like it's I'm having a brain fart, but like I love Ricky Steamboat, early Bret Hart, really early Shawn Michaels. I take a lot of inspiration from that. Love Owen Hart. Owen Hart was one of my favorites to watch. So it's pretty much trying to take what I see them do as far as like the really like the things to take A and B and put that middle part right in there to make it make sense.
Right.
I can do moves like anybody else can, but what's it going to matter if nobody cares? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And Professor, you would probably tell them about like psychology and things, right? Like some of the things that guys, don't exactly grasp, not all the time nowadays.
And that's what he's talking about, is studying the psychology. It's not just what you do and how you do it. We know of guys now, some of them even on the big time shows, that they just want to come out and they want to do 50,000 cool moves. And I always say, like, I go back to my problem with Ring of Honor in a lot of cases early on. Like, not that anything was bad. The problem was everything was so good, and everybody would go 100 miles an hour every match. And the problem is, if you're doing that for 4 hours, at least for me, I get to the end of it and I'm like, I know what I watched was good, but it was really hard to see anybody stand out unless
Right.
it was somebody who added in that psychology, that added in that crowd interaction, because sometimes you got to take that pause. And if you're a baby face, get the crowd up. If you're a heel, you got to pick out that one person that seems like they're really into hating you and be like, yeah, let's dial that up a little bit more. Let me get a little personal with you and get you that extra level of amped up at me. You're watching some great ones for that. I always say Arn Anderson had great psychology, and Arn was kind of underrated in some respects. You being a baby face, Ricky Morton, the Ricky Morton cell. If you can learn the Ricky Morton cell, you'll be golden for the rest of your life. But I mean, you're in a great environment too with 3WA, knowing the talent there. You got a lot. I love that the Backbreakers crew has come in, and there's this great young energy that's coming in now. But
Yeah.
there's also so many great veterans there that are so willing to share, and they love to share, and they love to talk to people. They love to talk to the fans. They love to talk shop and all that. So, I mean, you guys are in a great environment there for being able to learn and being able to pick up your craft and get better.
Absolutely. Every time I go down there, you can ask any of the four that we've mentioned earlier. I always tell them it's the best energy that I've had. Like, I haven't been to too many shows, and I'm
Mhm.
not going to name shows. Just I don't want them to be offended and be like, oh, we don't have good
Right.
energy. But
Right.
when I go down to Triple WA, that is where I feel like I can do my absolute best and then still learn more and then get even better the next show and the next show and the next show. And just, I don't know. I guess for lack of a better word, as of right now, with everything going on, it's my home right now.
The Pennsylvania scene is so good right now. It really is, from top to bottom. Your bigger shows, your smaller shows, anybody. I look around and it's a lot of the same people at all the different shows, and everybody has such a good attitude, and it's such an attitude of, let's improve the business, let's improve each other, let's improve what we're doing. I don't see egos. I don't hear me, me, me. I don't hear people that walk into that locker room and look around and think about who they can beat. They look at it more like, who can I help? Who can I make? Who can I get over with? Who can I do the right things with? And it's so good, and we keep saying it to our friends down south. We want to get down there and hang out with them at some point. That's a goal. But I mean, we always say to them, like, come up here if you're curious about coming to the north and working the northern style and learning the northern style. Come up and work the Pennsylvania scene, especially because it's so good, and the energy and the attitudes are so good. And I would say that to you guys. The folks we talk about down south, go down there if you're going to go down and learn southern style, because that same energy, that same attitude of, let's get better, let's help people get better, let's help people improve and live the dream.
Mm-hmm. I have a few friends that I've been following ever since I started training, because they kind of also helped push me to actually get trained. They're out based in North Carolina, so not too south really, but it's
No.
a different atmosphere over there. And
Right.
I'm trying to get one of them to come up this way and have a match with me at some point next year. And then somewhere down the road, I flip-flop, go down to their area. And it would definitely just be a nice transition. He can experience this, I can experience that, we can learn from them. So it's the same thing you're saying.
And to add to Keith's point, where he said that Pennsylvania is a great place to be right now, where everybody's really trying to make the business a better place, I would add South Jersey to that too, because Tom's River and places like that, because they have stuff going on over there in South Jersey much akin to what's happening here in PA, and what's about to happen in Hamburg, which is AXW. That's going to be interesting because they're going to want to try to find talent in 3WA and SWO and CCW and Valor and Seven Mountains, all these places that are within driving range. In the center of all that is Hamburg, which is a historic place for wrestling, and AXW is about to, put itself on the map in January. So that's going to be interesting for you guys too, because they're going to be looking for talent like yourself.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's going to be a great opportunity for so many guys.
To wrestle in front of bigger crowds too.
Yep.
Because Hamburg is a big place.
It is. I mean, WWE used to do their TV tapings out of a field house. You know that, Al. You were down there for Piper's Pit and saw Andre, and I mean,
many a times. But
you walk in there, you feel the history. If you know, you know.
The lights above the ring that Vince McMahon himself hung up there are still there. They're going to do bleacher seats too, so you're going to have the people you have at ringside like you do at 3WA or SWO or backbreakers, where you have the 3 or 4 rows, but then you also have the people up on the bleachers kind of up a little bit, so you'll get that arena feeling a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The more popular it gets. So I'm really excited for you guys to be able to hopefully get booked and get wrestling with them, because it's going to be fun.
Oh, I'm excited. I think it was after the last 3WA show, or maybe it was the one right before. Jack Molson was already sending us the information for all that, saying, clear these dates. I'm going to do my best to get us all down there, try this new thing out, and I'm super excited. Honestly,
and that's awesome. Yeah, because that's backed by a lot of smart minds, but one of them is including Kevin Kelly, who's been in this business for quite some time. So it's exciting for you guys here in PA, and me and Keith can't wait to just be at these shows and support you guys, and hopefully it leads somewhere. Hopefully you get more opportunities and more TV.
Yeah.
So let's go there.
And they've got a just to put AXW over some more, and they've got a great base locker room there.
Oh yeah.
So many of those guys that we've met, we've been able to talk to. Again, just the right attitude. Of course, our buddy
you would love to work with.
Yeah, and of course, Mark Mess, the absolute gentleman of wrestling, heavily involved with them. I mean, Mark is a fountain of knowledge. Yeah. Always sharing, always willing to share with everybody and anybody. He was one of our guests on here when we were a couple of nobodies
many
that
times
were just scrounging for people. And he was a guy that we could call him with 5 minutes notice and be like, Mark, can you come on the show? And he'd be like, you just tell me when and I'm there, buddy.
Yeah, he would right now.
Good things about him.
If I text him right now and said that, Damon didn't show up, he would show up. It's awesome. But yeah, there's a brain. If you ever get to work at a show where he's back in Gorilla or whatever, talk to that man, because that is a brain to pick. Me, Mark Mess. So let's talk. Let's go there with you, because what do you want out of this business? What is the ultimate goal for you? That's always a hard hitting question for some guys.
Well, I guess you're right. It is hard hitting, but a lot of times for me, it's kind of just been what I've been picturing since I was 5 years old, coming out to the big crowds, trying to get those big reactions, having great opponents, telling a story, and leaving a career that I could go one day and be holding my child and be like, yeah, this was me. Like, this was your dad. Just like so many people, I'm sure, have said the same thing, but it's honestly what we want. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I want to get the money out of this, or I want to get the fame out of this. I want to do something where, if God forbid something happens to me, I can rest assured knowing that everything that I did in my life, I'm proud of, and my family will be proud of, and my future family would be proud of, my friends, everyone that supported me, that told me that I could do this, my bosses at work and stuff saying, one day I'm going to see you on TV. I want to make all those supporters feel like they were a part of my journey, and that without any of these people, I wouldn't be anything. I want to do this for them, for me, and I want to take it as far as this thing can go. I mean, go until the wheels fall off. Like,
Yeah.
Awesome, Professor. How's that answer for you?
That's a great answer. So I mean, you're looking at it as you want to be able to make a living at it, do it full time, but it sounds like too, I always say being realistic, you give it everything you have, you leave it all out there. Maybe it gets to that place where it's full time, maybe it doesn't. And I think that's where people have to be realistic, and they have to be realistic about how hard it is to get to that place where it's full time, where it's, bright lights, fame, all of that stuff. And I mean, you have a backup plan, I assume, if it's only ever like, well, I'm going to be in 3WA, I'm going to be in Pennsylvania, I'm going to be all over, I'm going to string my indie shots together. But you have something else to fall back on if it doesn't become WWE, AEW, Impact, somebody like that, where you can do it full time, right?
yeah, like I work at a family-owned auction house, and I love them. Like, I feel like I'm part of the family, and they've been one of my biggest supporters with this. And if it's not in the stars for me, I also practice a lot of graphic editing. I want to be able to do it. Like, this business is a lot more than just wrestlers.
Yep.
Right.
So many parts of this business, and
Yep.
if I can still be a part of any part to make this thing keep going, that's what I want to do. So as far like I do video editing, I do graphic editing, I help with logos if I can. I love all that stuff. Camera work, photography.
And that's awesome. That's kind of what Keith and I are now. Like we just love to kind of have our toes dipped in the pool, so to speak, because we do the commentary on Carnage. We do this podcast. I've had opportunities to ring announce things like that. Keith and I have enjoyed this ride immensely, and just to even be any part of this is amazing. It's an amazing feeling. So I can imagine for you, who are learning all the facets of the business, so that if you don't make it as a star, if you don't make it as a performer, you can be doing something to this business because obviously you love it.
Yeah, that's one of. There's nothing in this world that has stuck with me as long as this business has, and that's fact.
That it happens to be my fact too, because I've been a fan since I was 5 and I'm 46. So, but let's talk about some of the competition in 3WA that you might have your eye on, because you feel comfortable and have so far kind of worked within your comfort zone, so to speak. But now you're going to start working with other guys that are on that roster that you might have your eye on. Who are some of those guys that you might want to work with that you haven't yet?
Well, first things first is I definitely 2023. I'm gonna have my eyes set on championship gold. That's first and foremost. If I got a shot, I'm gonna go full steam ahead, head first for it. But
if you ain't in it to be a champion, why are you in it?
Exactly. So I was keeping your next guest actually was somebody that I was keeping an eye on, Mikey Raw.
Mikey Raw, yeah.
After working Sam Thompson, I'm ready to take on any and all comers. I mean, everybody in that locker room, I want to share that ring with at least once. Like I said, I enjoyed Nice and Smooth. I would love to work any one of those guys one-on-one. I would be super excited for that. At the last show I just worked yesterday, I worked Anton Nathan, and I know he occasionally does some Triple WA, so I'd love to bring that match over to Triple WA. We're going to do a little bit of a role reversal because I was the heel in that last match, so we're going to change that.
Yeah, in 3WA, he's kind of a heel.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've only seen Anton as a heel, and he's very good at it. I'd be interested to see, what the reverse of that looks like.
Well, we had a lot of fun.
If you were to take on Mikey Raw, I mean, we're talking that's the High Impact Championship he just captured from Greg the Mechanic. So
It's a good goal. Your styles would match up well.
Speaking of Mikey Raw, here he is. I'm up for it. Let's get it, he says.
Plans to be a fighting champion.
That's what I like to hear.
He done said his name like 3 times. He pops up like Beetlejuice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a few guys that are like that.
There are some guys that are like that. But no, Mikey, yeah, well, again, we want to congratulate Mikey on his victory against Greg the Mechanic. Man, it was a great match, and it was cool to see sportsmanship between the two of them, shaking hands and all that stuff. And I'm sure you and Mikey Raw would tear the house down, no doubt. That would be a very interesting match, for him. A challenge, definitely a good challenge for him.
It'd be an extreme challenge for me too, and that's what I'm excited for.
Yeah.
There's a guy coming back though that I would love to see you wrestle, because you're both. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You're a Jersey boy, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, and so is Keith, and so am I.
Even though
I now live in PA, Keith still lives in Jersey, but I am a Jersey boy. We're all Jersey boys in this room. There's a guy that's coming back named Flash Carter. You might have heard of him.
Yep.
And Flash Carter would be, I think you and he would really, really have a really good contest. I think it would be all over the map, and I think it would steal the show no matter which one it was booked on. My opinion.
Yeah. I know. I think that'd be an awesome contest for the two of us. But I might just have to show him how a real frog splash is done.
Oh, shade is cast.
There it is. Well, sometimes Flash watches us and sometimes he doesn't. So, Flash, if you hear that, I hear you're coming back in January. Here we go.
Yeah. Lot of good stuff going on in January. You got AXW coming in.
Yes.
I know JCM has said on social media, so I'm sure I can talk about it. JCM is coming back. The Atkins boys are coming back. That's going to be great stuff.
Have you heard of either one of those guys there, Demon Dante, the Atkins brothers or JCM?
JCM doesn't sound too familiar, but I have seen the Atkin brothers.
Okay.
They're really good.
Yeah, JCM's been on the shelf for, about 2 years now.
Almost 2 years now.
Yeah, he had a back injury that he's been rehabbing.
And so he's dying to get back in that ring.
Oh, God, yeah. He's been dying for it forever. He messages me every once in a while. He's another one of those guys that early on was real supportive of us.
Yep.
And he would just message me, and it would just be like, man, I can't wait. I got to get through this. I got to get through this. I got to get back in there. And I just kept saying to him, like, you'll do it, man. You'll do it. With that attitude, you'll get it done. And fortunately, January, it looks like we're full steam ahead. He's ready to go.
You're coming in. You and the boys from Backbreakers are coming in, and women. I'm sorry, I don't mean to disclude Shelby either, but you guys are coming in right at the right time because things are changing. Like the winds of change have started to blow. Like, Dino's kind of taking a back seat to Paul and his daughter, and so now things are kind of starting to change in a different way. There's going to be different things happening in 3WA. We're going to be right in the forefront of that. As Keith said earlier, you guys are a young injection of talent that was desperately needed in 3WA. So you guys are coming right at the right time.
I'm excited for it. I'm excited to get this waste of human life, Donnie Bambino, out of my way, and then
that guy
head first into this brand new atmosphere.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think before we chase championship gold or any of that, I think Donnie Bambino is probably going to need to be dealt with because it does not appear to me that either for yourself or especially for him that issue has been put to bed yet.
I mean, I was willing to let bygones be bygones, but he came out and slapped me in the face and spit his gum at me, so I'm going to have to tear his face off.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can't not answer that. You got to answer that.
Yeah. And I will. Don't you worry.
Oh, I believe you wholeheartedly. But how much of the mainstream stuff do you pay attention to now? You've been a wrestling fan for pretty much your whole life. So
Mhm.
how much of it do you pay attention to now that you're kind of in the business and you're training, you have your job, you're training, do you pay much attention to stuff like AEW or Raw or WWE or anything like that?
As far as watching live, it's really hard for me because I don't have much time, but I do like to follow what's going on and keep up to date as much as possible. I mean, like, as far as AEW, there's not too many that really, like, capture my fandom, I guess you could say.
Right.
I mean, I love MJF, Darby Allin. Those are probably the two that I will tune in to watch, see what they do.
Sure.
And
Yeah, that was the reason why. Well, my next question was the reason why I asked you that question. If you said to me, no, I don't watch any of it, well, then I didn't have to ask you the next question. But since you do watch some of it, my next question would be, is there anybody that wrestles nowadays who's a big star that might be an influence to you? And you mentioned MJF and Darby Allin. Those were the first names out of your mouth.
mhm.
What about MJF and Darby Allin turn you on?
Well, I mean, I guess for Darby Allin, it's really it's kind of hard to not see it. The face paint,
Yeah.
the reckless daredevil style. I guess he's an outcast just like me.
Well, you guys
It's-
have a similar personality. You guys have a similar, not necessarily a similar move set, but you have the same mindset, I guess I could say.
yeah.
You guys, I mean, you do remind me of him, but at the same time, you don't, because like when you first came out, you kind of painted your face half, kind of like he does.
hmm
And then you came out last month, you came out with like November, you came out with your whole face painted. And then that thing you had with the what they call it, the Forge Some Fire, basically like Dante's Inferno kind of thing, like, you know what I mean? So that's, I can see that character kind of getting away and being its own thing instead of reminding everybody of Darby Allin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because a lot of it was like I didn't want to be the next somebody. I wanted to be the first me,
Yes.
and it's kind of like coming to the point where
He's clapping. You can't see it. You can hear it. He's applauding that.
I am. That's exactly the right attitude. Shawn Michaels gave that advice to Dolph Ziggler, where Dolph was saying, "I want to be the next you,"
And
Shawn's
Jericho.
like, "Yeah," and Shawn's like, "No, don't be. Nobody needs to be the next Shawn Michaels. Be the first you. Don't be the next me."
and it's like coming also to the point where I'm getting pushed around a little bit. You know what I mean? As far as like obviously Donnie Bambino and some other places, I'm getting bullied by rookie prices and all that stuff. It's kind of getting to the point now where I'm fed up with that. Like I'm here to stay. You're not gonna run me out of here. I'm gonna show you if you want to mess with the devil, you're gonna get the horns. And sometimes that's what's got to come out. And with this new face paint, this new look, I'm writing stuff on my arm. It's like as a reminder of all the things I've been called my whole life. It's just reminds me of how I grew up being the outcast, what people see me as. I want to show them that even with all that past and everything like that, that I can be as much of an outcast, as much of a freak as I want to be, and I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to keep driving to push and make it to this business, make it as far, like I said earlier, as far as I can take it until the wheels fall off. And I'm going to do it being me, and I'm not going to change that. I'm just going to keep finding more about me to keep bringing out and wearing it like a badge of honor.
Well, brother, we wish you nothing but the best. Like you just keep plugging away. You just keep learning. You keep picking those brains. You keep training. You work on your craft. You constantly evolve, and you'll be fine. And the biggest thrill for Keith and I is if we see somebody that we had on this show get booked more often because they were here, or it's coincidence that they come on here and the next thing you know, we see them on AEW Dark or they're playing the part of like security on Raw or something. Like that's a big, huge thrill for us. So we wish you nothing but the best. Make no mistake about it. And we'll always be here if you need our support, our help, or anything like that. We only got a couple more questions left and we'll get you out of here. But let's just, for sake of argument, say that you do make it. That when I say make it, I mean you end up doing this for a living, where you end up getting the dream of being in AEW or WWE or NXT or something to that effect, where you're getting paid enough money to be comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a wrestler out there currently, whether it be on the independent scene, whether it be on the mainstream, whether it be in New Japan, in Impact, in AEW, WWE, that you would love to book yourself against in a dream match scenario where, because we've had guys like Merrick Miami, he got to live that, where he got to wrestle Matt Cardona. That was his dream match. He got to do it. Is there somebody out there that you would love to throw down with, win, lose, or draw, and then the next day you can retire happy?
Well, it'd have to be the wrestler that was my first favorite wrestler, and to this day it still is. I don't know how likely it'd be because he's kind of getting old now, but it's Jeff Hardy, man. I have to.
Yeah.
One day, man, have to at least.
Jeff Hardy. That'd be interesting. Keith, that'd be interesting, no?
Oh yeah, I can totally see it. I mean, Jeff Hardy, has inspired a lot of people over his career. I mean, there were certainly times where I think you could accuse Jeff of being one of those stunt show guys that there wasn't much there other than jumping off the high thing through a table or jumping off the high ladder and doing all that stuff. But I mean, as he evolved, as he got older, he got smarter. He put the psychology and stuff into it. So, I mean, I think at the end of the day, Jeff Hardy is one of those guys that has become somebody that if you're a young wrestler and that got you in, hopefully you study everything he did and you study that evolution, because there's a lot of lessons in there that people can learn. I hope they don't just look at his early career and go, wow, all that was cool, I want to start doing that. Like, no, the trajectory of what he did, that's where the value, that's where the teachable moment is. That he started out doing all that and then he learned how to become a more well-rounded performer, where he's always got that bag of tricks, but he also learned how to not have to do that every single match and kill himself.
Mm-hmm. That's it's kind of why he's always been my favorite. Is kind of like as he evolved and as he got smarter, like you said, and safer with his body. I'm kind of like at the start now where I want to do all this crazy stuff, but his blueprint is kind of like saving me from following the exact same path. And now at a sooner start, I'm 25 now. I can learn from his career how to slow it down, how to make it more make sense, and take the risks that are needed, not just wanted.
Right.
Mikey
Rawls back. He's like, brother, keep that attitude. Don't ever let anyone take your shine. Keep pushing for greatness.
Much love, brother.
Yeah, that's awesome, Mike. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, man. And the last question I have is, have you been working on a finisher? And if you have, do you have a name for it?
Yeah, it's kind of like Kofi Kingston's Trouble in Paradise. It's that that jump up spin kick.
Right.
I struggled for a while to come up with a name for it, but after 4th of July, where I lost my stepdad, I really wanted to incorporate him somehow into my career. So his middle name was George. And so I wanted to call it the G kick. It's short for the G-force kick.
There you go.
So the G-force is what's going to knock your teeth out of your mouth.
You got that, Professor? That was for you. That was for you for when you call his matches.
Yep, I got to make sure I call that, and I'm
Yeah,
very sorry for your
mark that
loss.
down. That's the G-force kick, because we're going to be calling your matches, brother, and we're going to call it the G-force kick from here on out.
I appreciate that.
Yep.
Love it. Absolutely love it, man. Well, listen, that hour just kind of flew by. We'd love to have you on again, maybe 6 months down the road or so, to see how you're doing, see how it's evolving, see how things are going. But we're going to keep tabs on you, of course. Keith and I are at every 3WA show. And don't hesitate to ask us anything or reach out to us if you got something coming up you want to promote. You can promote it on the Around the Turnbuckle Facebook page or the Around the Turnbuckle groups, because we have between the group and the page and our YouTube page, we have close to 1,000 followers now. So, and you know, most of them are in the Pennsylvania and Jersey area. Not 90% of them are, but we do have some from elsewhere. But we're slowly getting there, and we're trying to get that stage to be bigger and bigger and bigger, so that the next time you come on here, there's a lot more people watching and you know, interested in possibly booking you down the road, which I don't think that's going to be a problem with you, the way your attitude is and all the answers that you answered every question exactly the way I expected, I thought, and I'm sure Professor can agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, you've got like I say, you've got the right attitude for it. For where you're at right now, it should be all about being a sponge, and you get it. You get that that's exactly what you should be doing, is listening, learning, trying to get better, keeping yourself and keeping everybody else safe in there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, brother, keep in touch with us. And also, if you come across anybody that could use, you know, a spot on here and tell their story, just send them our way. I know Big Jack Molson is going to be on here sometime in January. We've already talked to him. So he's of course going to talk about, you know, all you guys and talk about backbreakers and things like that. But he's also going to talk about his career from the beginning, and it's going to be fun. I know it's going to be a fun interview for me and Keith to talk to him.
I already feel like Jack's going to be one of those multi-part kind of situations that we have
where we have a two-parter,
where we get somebody on here and it's like, yeah, we didn't even touch it in an hour, because Jack's got so much going on. He's been with it so long. One of my first friends in the business that I met, where he was working at my job, was trained by Molson as a referee back when Molson was working with the Samoans and training at the Samoan Academy. And he said, "Oh yeah, Jack trained me."
Yep.
Well, I'm just gonna say have fun with that, because you're gonna have a lot of stories.
Yeah,
I'm guessing. Tell me if I'm wrong. You spend more time with him. Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm guessing Keith and I are going to say hi to him, welcome him to the show, and then we're not going to get another word in after that.
Oh.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
If we're betting, I wouldn't bet against you.
Yeah, yeah. I've been around Jack at a couple of shows now and talked to Jack a little bit, and Jack's not short on opinions. Nope. Jack's not short on conversation. That's the great thing about Jack. You just say hello and he'll go.
Yep. All right, man. Is there any before we get out of here, is there anything else that you want to talk about and or promote or anything like that you got coming up, or merchandise, anything like that?
Well, merchandise I'm hoping to have for 2023. I have a few designs I've been working out myself. Next show and the last show for me this year is going to be Smash Master Wrestling 5-7 Ho Ho Ho. It's their Christmas special.
Up in Throop, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll be in the 12 Days of Christmas Battle Royal. Hoping to finally get a W down there after the last time I got a little bit of concussion and had to take that out. But
tell Uncle Masty we said hi. We've had him on here, and he's a delight. I love Uncle Masty.
Oh, I will.
We gotta get him back.
Yeah, we will have him back. I'm sure eventually. But you know, I said to him straight to him. I sent him a text a couple months ago where I said, "Dude, you got to stop having shows during football season at 1:00 or 2:00 in the afternoon on a Sunday." Because there's a lot of football fans, man.
I I just need him to stop doing that because I work every Sunday at that time.
Yeah,
I need him to
I
be just
said,
a little bit later so
give me
I
some
can
prime
go.
time, man. I don't even care if he does it like, I don't know. Give me some prime time somewhere. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I wish you the best, man. You know it. I wish you the best in that show, and we'll see you again in January in Quakertown for 3WA. If anybody wants to book him or follow him, you can follow him on Facebook at Damon Dante on Facebook, and get in touch with him that way. In the meantime, man, don't go anywhere before we go off the air. Professor, do you know who our guest is next week? I'll give you a hint. It's been scrolling along the bottom of the screen all show.
Why do you act like I can't read? I can read. I can remember things. It's my job.
That would be
very excited to have Tommy Vex on here.
Oh yeah, Tommy Vex. And I don't know, have you ever met Tommy Vex, Damon Dante?
Very little, but yes, like very little.
The
Tommy
little bit
is a well-respected individual.
Yeah, the little bit we talk to Tommy, and Tommy will say it by his own admission, he is not always the most social guy. You kind of have to pin him down a little bit to get him to come out of his shell.
Next Sunday, right here on this hot seat that Damon Dante just graciously sat in for the last hour, will be the one and only Tommy Vex. We cannot wait to have that conversation. That'll be next Sunday on this same channel on YouTube at 6 p.m. And that is the last interview for Keith and I in 2022. The following Sunday, Keith and I will have a year in review where we go through some of our favorite moments and our guests throughout the year of 2022. That's December the 18th. That's the last show then of 2022, and we'll see you in 2023. Meantime, don't go anywhere, Damon. Meantime, Professor, you got any parting gifts?
I mean, as always, I want to thank you for spending the hour with us, coming on and giving us some of your time. We greatly appreciate it. I always say to Al, I don't think this would still be around, or we would be anything close to what we are without you guys, without all of you being so generous with your time and coming on here and helping us out. It helps us just as much as it hopefully is helping you guys to be on here and sit for an hour and talk shop and just talk about something that all of us have loved since we were kids. And hopefully, if we're smart, we look around every once in a while and go, holy crap, I get to do this. I wish I could get in the time machine and tell, whatever age we were when we got in, that little kid, like, hey, one day you're going to actually get to be a little bit of a part of this, stay with it.
All right, brother. We thank you so much for being on Around the Turnbuckle. And we'll talk to you very, very soon. Everybody, I hope you like and subscribe and share to our channel. Check out our old interviews. We've interviewed everybody from Flash Carter to WWE Hall of Famer Stevie Ray from Harlem Heat, which the anniversary of which is coming up, Keith, next week. So I'm going to re-release that interview out to the wild. It happened on 12/12/2000, so 2 years ago next week is the anniversary of when we interviewed Stevie Ray from Harlem Heat. So that was pretty cool. We're going to relive that one.
That's fun.
We're going to throw that one out there. Meantime, you can catch the Professor and I on Carnage, which is dropping almost each and every Friday, basically Friday or Saturday. Within the next few weeks, there'll be a new episode each week. One dropped on Friday. There'll be another one this coming Friday, etc. Meantime, we'll see you guys all next week on Around the Turnbuckle. For the Professor and Damon Dante, the OutKast, I'm the Big Al Boski. We'll see you guys soon.
You think you know me?
Oh, yeah! If you smile!
Calculations